Due to sanctions from Western countries, Iran's development has been under great pressure and restrictions. However, Iran recently proposed a bold plan, which, if implemented smoothly, may have a chance to break the dilemma of such sanctions. In November this year, the Taliban Railway Bureau of Afghanistan led a delegation to visit Iran, and the two sides discussed the issue of extending the Khawaf-Herat Railway. Originally, this railway only connected Iran and Afghanistan, but Iran proposed a bigger idea. They are considering extending this railway further east and connecting it directly to China through the Wakhan Corridor. At present, Iranian officials have stated that they intend to join the Taliban government to apply to China for opening the border and hope to participate in the construction of this railway across Iran, Afghanistan, and China. But it is worth noting that this is not the first time that someone has proposed to China to develop the Wakhan Corridor. As early as many years ago, the Taliban government repeatedly hoped that China would start this project, but each time it failed. So the question is, why does Iran also want to join this project this time? Now, with Iran's participation, will China agree to develop this corridor? If you like our video content, please click to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can receive all our latest video content. Now, let's get into today's topic. As we all know, Iran is a country with extremely rich energy resources. According to the latest data, Iran's oil reserves exceed 220 billion barrels, ranking fourth in the world, second only to Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and Canada. In the field of natural gas, Iran ranks second in the world, with proven reserves of 34 trillion cubic meters, accounting for 18.2% of the world's total reserves. In addition, Iran has a large amount of undeveloped oil and gas resources. There are about 39.6 billion barrels of oil reserves hidden on land and 13.4 billion barrels at sea. In terms of natural gas reserves, there are about 176 trillion cubic feet on land and 138 trillion cubic feet at sea. Such a huge resource reserve has also made oil and natural gas the core pillar of Iran's economy, accounting for almost half of its foreign exchange earnings. However, the problem is that these resources have not only failed to bring Iran the expected prosperity, but have angered many Iranians. Why? The reason is actually very simple. Although the energy reserves are amazing, Iran's exports have been suppressed for a long time due to sanctions. For many years, the sanctions imposed by the United States and Western countries on Iran can be said to be one wave after another, especially in the fields of oil and petrochemicals. They blacklisted a large number of Iranian companies and tankers, banned Iran from using the U.S. financial system, and even banned U.S. citizens from conducting any business cooperation with Iran. This blockade directly strangled the lifeline of Iran's economy. Under such pressure, Iran had to adjust its development strategy and put forward the policy of looking east. So in the past 10 years, Iran has gradually shifted the focus of its oil exports to China and successfully developed China into its largest trading partner. In 2022, the two sides also signed a 25-year oil cooperation agreement. According to the agreement, China will invest $400 billion in Iran in the next 25 years. And in return, Iran will supply oil at a preferential price of 12% to 20% below the market price. This means that the oil trade between Iran and China will continue for a long time to come. However, the current oil trade between the two countries mainly relies on sea transportation, and this is exactly the problem. Because of the complex geopolitical situation in the Middle East, coupled with the intervention of the United States and the West, maritime transportation faces considerable risks. Take a typical incident at the end of 2023 as an example. A Greek tanker carrying Iranian oil was originally planned to be shipped to China, but after arriving in Singapore, due to pressure from the United States, the route was forced to change, and finally it went directly to the United States. This batch of nearly 1 million barrels of oil not only failed to reach China, but was confiscated by the United States. This situation made both Iran and China realize that relying solely on sea transportation is not safe, and the two countries urgently need a more stable land transportation channel. However, the reality is that although both sides want to promote land transportation cooperation, they have never been able to find a safe and convenient transportation route. It was not until recently that Afghanistan proposed a new plan that this matter saw some light. And Iran immediately seized the opportunity and expressed its hope that China would seriously consider this plan. So, what kind of transportation route did Afghanistan propose? In fact, the route that gave Iran hope is to connect the Khawaf-Herat Railway with the Wakhan Corridor. After learning that Iran was actively looking for a land transport channel to China, the Afghan Taliban government quickly sent a delegation to visit Iran and proposed a new cooperation plan. The specific plan is to abandon the original plan to connect the Khawaf-Herat Railway with the railways in Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, and instead continue to extend eastward, cross the Wakhan Corridor, and directly build a railway connecting China, Afghanistan, and Iran. From a practical point of view, this route can indeed significantly shorten the transportation distance and greatly reduce transportation costs. It should be noted that the Khawaf-Herat Railway was not originally an independent project, but part of the five-country railway corridor plan. However, this grand plan failed to materialize for various reasons. The story can be traced back to 2003, when Iran and Afghanistan signed an agreement for Iran to assist in the construction of the Khawaf-Herat Railway. The railway is 225 kilometers long and connects the city of Khawaf in eastern Iran and the city of Herat in western Afghanistan. After the agreement was signed, the project entered the construction phase. After that, China proposed the five-country railway corridor plan. According to this plan, the railway will start from Khawaf, pass through Herat, Afghanistan, extend northeast to Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, and finally enter China. However, Afghanistan's years of war and complex geopolitical situation have seriously slowed down the progress of the entire plan. It was not until last year that the Khawaf-Herat Railway was finally built and put into use. At the same time, this five-country railway corridor plan also faces another technical problem. Most Central Asian countries use 1,520 millimeters wide-gauge railways, while the Khawaf-Herat Railway between Iran and Afghanistan uses the Chinese standard 1,435 millimeters international gauge. If the railway continues to extend towards Central Asia, it will require multiple track-changing operations. This not only greatly increases the difficulty of transportation, but also makes the coordination of interests involving multiple countries more complicated. Therefore, the Khawaf-Herat Railway has been delayed in extending towards Central Asia. It is in this context that the Afghan Taliban government has proposed a new idea. They decided to abandon the five-country railway corridor plan and instead directly connect the Khawaf-Herat Railway with the Wakhan Corridor to achieve the goal of reaching China. The Wakhan Corridor is located between the Pamir Plateau and the Hindu Kush Mountains. It is the border area between China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Tajikistan, and is the only area where China and Afghanistan border. The China-Afghanistan border here is about 92.45 kilometers long. 300 kilometers to the west belongs to the hinterland of Badakhshan Province, Afghanistan, and 100 kilometers to the east belongs to Xinjiang, China. If Afghanistan wants to reach China directly by land, the Wakhan Corridor is the only choice. For this reason, Afghanistan has repeatedly proposed to China to open up the Wakhan Corridor in recent years. In January this year, Afghanistan also publicly announced that the 50-kilometer-long Little Pamir Highway has been built to the China-Afghanistan border, which shows that Afghanistan has made infrastructure preparations for opening up the Wakhan Corridor. Faced with this superior plan proposed by the Afghan Taliban government, Iran also quickly stated that the three countries should hold trilateral talks as soon as possible to promote this matter. Afghanistan further stated that it is ready to take necessary measures to support the railway cooperation among the three countries. If Iran and Afghanistan can reach an agreement, it is likely to formally request talks with China soon. Obviously, Both Iran and the Taliban government hope to establish a direct transportation channel to China through the Khawaf-Herat Railway. For Iran, this line can greatly guarantee the security and stability of its oil exports. For Afghanistan, it is an important economic lifeline. Previously, the Taliban government predicted that once the Wakhan Corridor is opened, Afghanistan's economic growth rate is expected to increase to 50%. Now, if this railway is connected to Iran, the economic benefits it brings may be higher than previously expected. However, this transportation route also faces a more difficult challenge. Since the Taliban came to power, they have repeatedly proposed opening up the Wakhan Corridor to China, but China has always refused. The main reason behind this is strategic considerations of regional risks. The first is natural factors. The Wakhan Corridor is located in the Pamir Plateau with an altitude of more than 4,200 meters and is a typical alpine area. Every year, except for 3 months in summer, the mountains here are blocked by heavy snow most of the time, especially the border area between China and Afghanistan, which can almost be called a no-man's land. The permanent resident population of the entire Wakhan Corridor is less than 10,000, and they are mainly nomads. In addition, harsh natural conditions also significantly increase the difficulty of construction. Most of the area here is an arid desert with little water and only a small amount of cultivated land. In the rainy season, frequent flash floods pose a huge challenge to infrastructure construction. It can be said that the natural environment of the Wakhan Corridor is a severe test for any large-scale development plan. More importantly, safety issues have always been a decisive factor in the success of the China-Arab-Iraq Railway project. If it wants to build this railway, China must agree to open the Wakhan Corridor and allow the railway to extend from here to the China-Afghanistan border. But the problem is that many terrorist and separatist forces are still active in Afghanistan, and the risk of the three evil forces spreading to neighboring countries still exists. For this reason, China has been cautious in the face of repeated requests from the Taliban in recent years and has never agreed to open the Wakhan Corridor. Therefore, this is why the Taliban government proposed to help Iran solve its trade and transportation problems with China and wanted to use Iran to persuade China to open the Wakhan Corridor. For now, although China has not given a clear response to Iran's proposal, I think it should be no different from the previous one. So, do you think China will open the Wakhan Corridor for Iran? To not miss out on our future projects and news updates, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We will continue to provide you with more exciting and interesting content.